army of specialist officers, public duty officers, so that we'll have enough officers to deal with this where we need them.
Dark clouds in the sky, freedom's ghost passing by. Choir's face upon the wall echoes down the empty hall. Whispers in the night, hopes fading out of sight. Chains clanging on the ground, silence is the loudest sound. Under Kia's rule we fall. Shadows stretch long and tall. Voices silenced by his hand. We fight but cannot stand. Wardens in the street, marching to a wicked beat. Eyes watch your every move. Truth is a forbidden groove. Dreams crumbled in the dust. Iron fist you can't trust. Doomed to walk his twisted line. Freedom's just a memory fine. Hearts weighing heavy cold. Stories that remain untold. Cowards we live in fear. Every moment costs a tear. Under Kia's rule we fall. Shadows stretch long and tall. Voices silenced by his hand. We fight but cannot stand. Audience in the street, marching to a wicked beat. Eyes watch your every move. Truth is a forbidden groove. Wardens in the street, marching to a wicked beat. Eyes into a wicked beat. Under Kia's rule we fall. Shadows stretch long and tall. Voices silenced by his hand. Voices silenced by his hand. We fight but cannot stand. We fight but cannot stand. Oh, cannot stand.
Hey, hey, hey. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this impromptu stream about lying. Who's lying to you? Are you being lied to? I think you are. I think we'll dig into it, think about who's doing it all. I think we're all being lied to in some respect. I think we're victims in many, many cases. We're victims of ourselves. It's quite a small little audience tonight, but it may grow. I think it's been a public holiday in England, but not up here. No change up here. Everything's just normal. So apart from, well, it's raining, and that's an interesting point. Let's start with this as a kind of little story of example. So somebody made a tweet last night, and I'm not going to go into names and things, but it's nobody we know. Well, it's nobody that watches us. So somebody made a tweet last night about it being a miserable summer, one of the worst they'd seen. And I thought, well, they must be living in a different part of the country from me. But they don't. Because it's not been that bad a summer here. Now, everybody's experience is going to be different, but here, when we're both in the same place, you got to think somebody's not remembering things right. So I thought, okay, I'll go and have a look at the rainfall records. And you can get the rainfall records from a number of sources. I'm going to turn my light on. Oh, hello, Elusive. Good to see you. Yeah. I've got to turn my nice pink stroke purple light on. I do like it. I hope you do too. Anyway, so I thought, I'll go and look at the rainfall records. I looked at the rainfall records, and this year, to be fair, we're about 50 millimetres shorter of rain than we are normally at this point of time. So that's, a proper comparator. And I just posted that. I just posted it. And it wasn't the person that made the post that starts coming back at you. It's like, oh, yeah, who told you that? The first thing, who told you that? Well, nobody told me. I went and looked at the data. So I said that. And it's like, yes, but the data's wrong. I'm like, what the fuck? So now people, we have these people out there that believe that the Met Office are just making up rainfall records. To what end? Who cares? And that would be stupid, because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of amateur meteorologists out there, because we live in the UK and Great Britain, this island, this green and pleasant land, and maybe you should take a note from the green and pleasant land, because you don't get greenery without rain. And yeah, a maritime climate, it rains a lot. We are a maritime climate. And we get even more because of the Gulf Stream, which brings in warm water, and it gets hit by all the cold air, and it dumps itself. And it dumps itself on the west coast, usually in Wales and in Scotland. And there's no doubt in my mind that Scotland is some of the wettest climate that you can live in. Might not have the record for the amount of rainfall, but by God, it is persistent. And we have a word for that. I think it's called dúireach. When you go out the door and the humidity is such that while you think it might not be raining, within 5 to 10 minutes, you will be wet. It's no wonder people on the west coast of Scotland have so many respiratory diseases. It's like living in a swamp that's not warm. But anyway, let's go back. Let's go back to these. And I'm saying, well, I dig through the records. I've done a fairly successful podcast with a climatologist, Latimer, and we presented stuff every week. But I get toned down because a climatologist knows nothing. And if we believe anything that comes from, any kind of authority or body, I'm an idiot. And they then go on to tell me that they know Central Scotland farmers who say, yes, this is a very wet year. It's not. Anyway, I'm like, okay, well, that's fine, but that's anecdotal. Anecdotal comes the retort. These farmers, so I'm now informed that these farmers are keeping detailed meteorological records over generations. They go back in time over generations. These guys are so keen on meteorology that they're spending more time keeping records than they are farming. And I'm like, you guys, that guy's just nuts. And you get to the point, thank you, but bye. You've got to just get rid of people like that. They're not going to listen to reason, and they have this one track mind, cognitive dissonance. Call it what you want, but it's just go. And there's no point. There's just no point in going on with people like that. So I And this is where we come back to who's lying to you, because people like that, nobody's lying to them. What they're doing is they're looking at all this information and talking to, their pal, the farmer. Just on the point of farmers, I met a farmer the other day. And sometimes farmers aren't the brightest. And if you live in Scotland, you'll know what I mean. I met a farmer the other day who came in to get new tyres on the front of his car. And when the guy took the car off, he goes, where's the brake caliper? Because there was no brake caliper on the front wheel. And the guy goes, it was sticking, so I cut it off. And he cut it off and just left the tube exposed. So all the brake fluid is gone. He says, I did notice though that the car doesn't stop very well. What the fuck? These are the people that are keeping detailed meteorological records over generations. What hope have you got? Anyway, I actually reached out to Latimer today, and he might be coming back, and we might even see his face this time, because he has outed himself to a degree. Oh, so anyway, we go back to, so these people that argue the toss there over rainfall records. I mean, why is the Met Office why are they going to falsify rainfall records? Why is NOAA going to falsify rainfall records? Why is NASA going to falsify rainfall records? What does it matter? And on a brief aside, the last country in the world that needs cloud seeding is the UK. It rains here all the time anyway, and people forget this. They really forget it. But you have very selective memories. That's the thing. You remember high spots and low spots, but you forget everything in between. It's like, and people remember things completely differently. It's like my wife remembers 2020 as a particularly dry and very long summer, and I said no, it wasn't. We had 2 dry months. We had very dry April and May, and it was really pleasant. And then it just rained all the time. And she's going, no, it didn't. And I goes, yeah, it did, because I'd bought the van and I couldn't work on it on the roof because it was raining all the time. It took me months to get what I wanted to do done. And she's going, oh, so you did. But she says, it was still a dry summer. And I goes, well, it wasn't, because 2020, believe it or not, was one of the wettest summers we've had in the last 10 years. But everybody, see, this is the problem. Everybody remembers everything different, and everybody has a different conception of what is going on. And that ties into that thing that Ed posted today about everybody has their own version of you, and their version of you isn't you. It isn't the you that you know. It isn't the you that your family knows. It isn't the you that individuals in your family know, because to everyone, you are a completely different person. I mean, to the person I spoke to in the library and in the town today, I'm a completely different you from the people that I'm speaking to now on this magical contraption of wires and electricity. So who are you? And here's the thing. When it comes to lying, you are they. Because the people that are lying to you are you. You're lying to yourself. And everybody does it. And I've tried and tried. I try and try to stop doing it, to look at things dispassionately. Because everybody wants to be proven right. And I've done this, and you know that when I started this, I was calling out every Tuesday. I was going to Euromomo and I was calling out the fact that there wasn't a lot of people dying, and I didn't consider there to be something going on that everybody was talking about. And I did this for months, if not years. I mean, I started on my own, and by the time Ben and I had hooked up with us, I was still doing it. So I gave those figures religiously every Tuesday for months, and pointing out that it wasn't anywhere near as bad as we thought it was. You didn't have to fear and whatever. And the thing is, people don't believe you because they either want to believe one thing or the other. And the people that do believe you will believe you regardless. So, and this is the part I don't get, because nobody that wants to believe you will call you out. I am a really annoying person because I do it all the time. It's like Soldier just posted something saying, 1980s computers used to take up a whole room, and now you can hold it in your hand. No, they fucking didn't. I don't know where you were in 1980, Soldier, but 1980s computers were pretty small. I even had a portable one at one point. No, I'm not saying it's anything like a laptop today. It had a full-size keyboard that folded down, and it didn't have a big screen or anything. But yeah, you did have, things that you could lug about. It was probably a luggable more than a portable. But servers didn't take up a whole room. They were big-ish. I mean, like the size of a drinks fridge. But they weren't that bad. So, Euromomo must have been shocked at the traffic. I used it every week, and dug through it on a number of occasions. So the question then is, though, if you've picked one side or the other, and this is the problem, people pick sides, and once they pick sides, they don't like to change sides. And I don't have a problem with it because, Ben and I always said, if we're wrong, we would call it out, and we did. If we would make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. But you can't be right all the time. And if you pick a side, whether it be left or right or whatever you want to remember as, or to classify the people, truthers, or I don't know, what are those green frog guys called? What do they call themselves? QAnons or whatever? You want to pick a side, then pick a side if you want. But why? Because they're never going to be 100% right on everything. Nobody ever is. And they're never going to be 100% wrong on everything. Nobody ever is. And the same goes with the left. They're never going to be 100% wrong on everything. They can be pretty close at times, but everybody sometimes gets something right. Carol Voderman said something the other day that was right. I had to agree with her. I'm like, my God, Carol, I don't often agree with you, but on this occasion, you're right. Jackie Devoy said something the other day that I had to agree with, So yeah. But you've now got people that are so ensconced in what side they're in. Yeah, they do get too invested. You're right, Elizabeth. They're so ensconced in what side they're in that they are now not trusting any data. Now, most of the data gets published, the data gets published in a raw form. And you can, if you've nowhere to go and get it, you can get all that data and you can go through it. You don't need to take it after NASA's been and adjusted it for, and NASA does this. NOAA does it as well. They adjust things for what they call heat island effects and stuff, but they don't do it, in my view, they don't do it right. And the problem is many of the monitoring stations have been moved away from rural locations where they weren't getting any kind of heat island effect to the middle of airports and stuff, where they're obviously going to be much warmer because cities are always warmer than the countryside. That's why you can be in a Scottish valley and freeze to death, and people in a town would be fine. Although you can't freeze to death in Scottish towns, I've seen it happen. I've seen the results. So yeah, yes, you can see Jazz. So you can't. But what you can't do is, and what you should or what you shouldn't do is, you shouldn't pick and choose anonymous anecdotal evidence just because it supports what you think. I've always encouraged people to think critically, to look at the evidence and to make up your own mind. Why would you not want to do that? And it can get frustrating because, you know, people have been going on about excess death, and it becomes a very for some people it becomes such a volatile subject that they block you. Or they here's a little aside here, and this small side rant. Why is it always women that read what you've said and then say, so you're saying this, which is nothing like what you actually said? And you have to go back and say, no, that's not what I said. What I said was this. Why is it always women that do that? Call me a misogynist if you will. I may well be one. But that's that's my fault, not yours. But it seems to happen a lot. It's bizarre. Anyway, where was I? We can we'll go back to anonymous anecdotal belief because it fits your narrative. Why would you want to do that? Why wouldn't you dig into information like, as I was saying, the excess death that wasn't showing up, not showing up in the figures, right? And it didn't show up in the figures at all. And I'm thinking, why is everybody going on about this? Why are I mean, you go and speak to funeral directors, they're saying no, they're not having a good year or a bad year. It's just the same. It's the same. And, you know, their year has been the same since 2019, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. Their year has been the same. There hasn't really been much variation. So there's not a lot of change. If you really dig into the figures, you can, no, you don't all do that, Shalini. There are exceptions. If you really dig into the figures, you can see that the demographic group in which people are dying has maybe changed a little, right? And that there did for a period be more people dying who were younger than older. And of course that would be explained to a slight degree by the fact that if you did have a bad respiratory virus, it would kill off more elderly people, and we know more elderly people did die in 2020, but not in the numbers that were attributed to a certain disease. And again, when people do things like that, when governments swing numbers because they merge reporting mechanisms, you have to think, you know, why have they done that? And the government didn't hide this, anyone. You know, they put it out there, and I kept telling you, they put it out there. They put it on their website in August. In August 2020, they said we're merging all flu and other respiratory diseases into one category. So anybody that dies any of those things has died off you know what. Now, they were open and said they were doing it, and they did it. And they did report it like that, and that's why we got all those big numbers. But we didn't get anyone dying of the flu because the flu wasn't reported like that. That's a bit disingenuous in my view. And I didn't think there was any need for it when you were apparently trying to manage a mass outbreak. Why would you do that? So, again, I think the government did manipulate existing figures to suit their narrative. So they're doing the same thing as some of us are doing, which is manipulating figures to suit our narratives. So yeah, to go back to those figures, so yeah, there appears to have been an increase in younger people dying, but that's been offset by less older people dying. Therefore, there hasn't been any real excess death. There's been a couple of spikes, but there hasn't really been that much. And then I said something the other day about, somebody went on about products that have adverse effects on people, and sometimes they die. And yeah, that does happen. And sometimes these products will adversely affect people to the point that, there's no coming back from it. But when you dig into it, right, when you dig into the actual figures, right, this product that everyone's complaining about over the last couple of years doesn't have a higher rate than any other first-time product that's been loosed upon the public. And you might be looking at me going, are you nuts? Well, not from a direct association. Now, that doesn't, I'm not going to go into all the other things, but from a direct association, the actual amount of people that would die from it are very similar to what you would expect to die from any other product. That's how it works, because these products have a risk. And there's always a risk with these things. So the direct association doesn't really change. Now, after effects, that's a different ballgame, and that's something where it's very, very difficult to get accurate information, and I think you really need to be in. You need to be in the. You need to be in the inner workings of how these things are managed and produced and recorded, because that's not information that's terribly available. So it's very difficult for an outsider to dig into, how many after effects and things, because they're not all reported. They're not. A lot of them are reported falsely. A lot of them are reported the wrong way. There's just so many. There's so many variables there that it becomes very, very difficult to take that into account. But the point is, what's the point in just accepting the things that follow your narrative? Because then you're not getting a proper picture, are you? Well, I don't know, Ray. I really don't know. I think the problem with things like, and Mark Changizi actually talked a lot of sense when he said these people don't think they're doing anything wrong because they think they're working for good. But just because you think you're working for good doesn't stop you doing evil. It doesn't excuse you either. But I think a lot of people don't give it, they don't give it the same, they don't look into things in the same depth. Look at that guy, what's his name, Malhotra. He was all for it till his dad died. And he started digging into it and completely reversed his stance. Now, that's fine. That's fine, but if his dad hadn't died, he wouldn't have reversed his stance. So think about that. So he if his dad hadn't died, he wouldn't have dug into it. He wouldn't have found out what he did, and he wouldn't have reversed his stance. So this is the problem. People do not think critically, and that's the thing you must do. You must think critically about everything. And I get shot down for it all the time. And I'm not saying, oh, poor me, because I quite enjoy telling people they're wrong. And invariably they are. But they don't like it. But how are they going to learn if you don't tell them they're wrong? Yeah. How are they going to how are they going to learn if you don't tell them they're wrong? I'm not saying I'm trying to change their mind, because in my experience you can't. And well, you maybe can if you go at them or you talk to them continually. But is it worth your time? Because you might have bigger fish to fry. I don't know how it was you that got Malhotra to look into it. Hey, there's something I can't take at face value. You need to give me some evidence for that one. It's like, let me have a quick look at Twitter because somebody said something somebody said something today, and I just said I just don't believe that. I just cannot believe it. Oh no, that was the Central Scotland farmers keeping generations worth of meteorological records. Oh, and then you get clowns, right, like Chuck Callisto, and these are the kings of misinformation, and these people give everybody a bad name because, you know, I don't know why people follow him, because he talks utter shite and posts complete and utter rubbish. He posted something today. Type antifa.com into your web browser and see where that takes you. That should tell you something. Yeah, should it? What should it tell you, Chuck? You type that into your browser, it takes you to whitehouse.gov. And? Well, so what? So somebody that owns antifa.com has redirected that to whitehouse.gov. I tell you what, you people, go and do this. Type this into your web browser. No. Yeah, go and type that into your web browser and see where that takes you. This is trivial. This is trivial stuff for people to do. 30 seconds changes things. But you can't say that that's an endorsement by the people that you've redirected to, because they're not stopping it. They can't stop. Well, they could stop it, but they probably aren't bothered. If it gets more traffic to their site, why would they stop it? So yeah, anyone typed it in? Where did it take you? Any answers? Any answers in the chat? What did that tell you? What does that tell you? Yeah. Where did it take you, Julie? Where did it take you? Come on. Dish the dart. Yeah, gov.uk. 30 seconds, that's all it takes. Oh, redirect. So there's a domain I own. I'll redirect that to gov.uk. Bang, done. So I posted that to Chuck. It goes, what does that tell you? You know, you won't get any reply from these guys because they're not interested, because all they're doing is clickbait and farming likes and making money. That's all they want to do. And it's like all these people that do all these stupid questions, you know. Normally you can just start scrolling and you'll get one of these people that's got a stupid question up on Twitter, and it's like, you know, why? There's Chuck Callisto's public service announcement. Go to your internet browser and type in blah blah blah. Come back and tell me what you saw. Yeah, so that's just a clickbait. It's just a clickbait post. It really is. Yeah, the J.K. Rowling one. Here we go. Green tech, blue tech, Lee Hood. Do you think J.K. Rowling is a national treasure? Yes or no? What the fuck? I mean, really? So that's just that. I just block these people because all they're doing is trying to get you to respond to them. And sometimes I get sucked in for one or two, and then I think, oh no, just block this guy, because they're just going to take away your life, you know, by having you answering crap and making money for them, because they're making money on you because they've got so many followers and you get so much engagement. And these stupid tweets work. They work. People reply to them all the time. And it's like, don't do it. Try and not do it. Break the habit, you know? That's what I would do. Or I'm trying to do. I find them blocking them's the best thing, because then you're not going to see them again. You're not going to get sucked in. Clickbait. Yeah, well, yeah, that's all it is. I mean, it's just them trying to make money. That's all it is. They're grifting. So yeah, so there we go. I think that probably covers much of the lying type thing, because I think we're lying to ourselves. We're lying to ourselves to, endorse, to approve, to define the things that we think are true, and they might not be, because people lie to themselves all the time. I mean, you as a police officer, you would go to you'd go to something that happened, and you'd interview 5 different people, and you would have 5 different stories of what happened. People cannot remember what happened, and when they do start talking about it again, they run it through in a different way from when it happened. I'll tell you one story. Let's talk about one, and this is probably, people aren't going to like this, okay? But here's a story that happened today that really set my spidey senses tingling. John O'Looney's burglary. What do you think about that one? Allegedly, he's lost 10k and one of his employees has lost 30k from a safe that was in his funeral home, which isn't insured. And no one apparently, according to him, knew it was there. Yeah. So, I think it stinks. That's what I think. Especially when you read the detailed story about how 2 people broke into his unmarked van outside his house. Well, no, they didn't break into his unmarked van outside his house. They opened his unmarked van, took the keys for the funeral home, and then closed the van again and locked it. Oh, that's an unusual MO. Very unusual. Then they went to the funeral home, which the alarm didn't go off because the subscription had expired 30 days ago. Interesting. Did they have a sticker on the back of the van that said, "No bodies left in van overnight"? Anyway, so the alarm's subscription had expired exactly 30 days ago or something like that. So they went in, and although they opened a few drawers, they took nothing other than the contents of the safe, that no one knew where it was or what was in it. Well, and he made great pains to say no one else knew. So how did they know? One other person at least knew he had a safe, didn't they? Because you're not going to give 30 quid. Sorry. Oh, I wouldn't give 30 quid to my employer and ask him to keep it for me without knowing where he was going to keep it. Certainly wouldn't give him 30k and say, "You keep that for me, but don't tell me where." No, that's not going to wash. He's obviously come to the agreement, "Oh, you've got that. Can I keep my 30k in there? Because it will be safer than if I keep it under my bed." So at least one other person knew. Let's be fair. And then who put the safe in there? Who installed it? Somebody else knew. Why has he got the key to the safe on the key to the building premises anyway? Would you not keep that separate? I mean, really? Would you not? It does stink. It really stinks. It just... If I was investigating this one, I'd be going, oh. There's a few people I want to talk to here. It just doesn't work out. It just doesn't. It doesn't compute. I don't like it at all. And this is why I say you've got to think critically, people, because people just jump on and go, repost. And I'm thinking, this is weird. This is a weird one, you know. And then there was the Lucy Connolly one. Did you see that? Some guy who's apparently he's apparently a con man has started the GoFundMe for her. And then people are jumping on, going, I wondered how long it would be before this shill started asking for money. She asked for money for her school fees or something. I can't remember, but you know, she's not asking for the money. It's a con man trying to start up a GoFundMe to get the money. Yeah. School fines, yeah, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think people, you need to think critically, please. I mean, I hate to say it, but the Home Office is half right, you know. Sometimes you need to think about what you're posting, because you can't just endorse everything that you see because it fulfills your narrative. And hey, hands up, I've done it as well. I'm just as guilty as any one of you guys. I try and not be, but you know, we've all done it at times. Oh, that looks interesting. Blind clack. Oh, I've done it. And then you come back to it later and think, oh shit, that wasn't right. And you go, you know, and that, what I normally do is post something saying, you know, this wasn't right. I shouldn't have done that. But I don't like to take things down, because I like to be responsible for my actions. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people try and hide things. What happened to Fergal Sharkey marching in protest? Yeah, what happened? Did he go? No, that was down south, wasn't it? What's Shergo Farky? Shergo Farky. That's a new band. I've got a new disease. I've got the Shergo Farkies. I'm not doing too well. Oh, I had a bad night last night. That was a refeed day yesterday, and I was doing fine until I tried to eat some of my wife's lovely curry, and oh dear, I hardly slept at all. But that's my fault for trying to eat too much on a refeed day after an extended fast. Don't do it. It's not good. So then, I take it this Nurse Debbie is the one that organised this march, and he never turned up. He's probably lying in his bed going, off. So that is raining. I'm not going. Oh, you guys had the day off, Julie. Yeah, I'm glad. A day off's always good for you, isn't it? Oh, or have you been open? Right. I think you've had the day off. Good. Excellent. So there we go. So, I mean, if we take anything from that, I would say be critical. Watch out and listen to yourself. I mean, I know this sounds crazy, but the biggest liar is yourself, because you lie to yourself all the time. I mean, and some people are so accomplished at it. I don't know how they do it. I mean, he's quite right, Julie, quite right. How do they do it? I mean, like fat birds, how do they do it, right? Because they look in the mirror and they don't see themselves as fat birds. They see themselves as young, gorgeous, attractive women, and they're just fat birds. I don't get that. I mean, I look at myself in the mirror and I go, whoa. I really, you know, I'm like, this is all right because it's a headshot, right? But if I had to do a full standing up thing on camera, I'd be like, oh, I don't really like the look of that. It's like, and it's like fat people on TV. I mean, they say the camera puts on, you know what, 2 or 3 pounds. Some of them must have like 15 or 20 cameras on them. It's like, how can you lie to yourself and think you look good? Because these people do, they think they look good. I mean, Ben's a perfect example. Oh. Oh. So there we go. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. I'm going to give you a treat tonight. Well, I think it's a treat, but you probably won't. I'm going to go out with the one with the Animaniacs. That's an old one, isn't it? So you might want to hang on for that one, Shalini. So this has been quite a good month from the point of view of ad revenue. But it's been a bad month it's actually been a not too bad month from memberships, because we've had a couple of renewals, which is good. But we haven't had any new people. Now remember, you can join the channel from as little as 99p, or you can donate through Ko-fi. And if you donate through Ko-fi or join the channel, you do become a citizen of Veridora. If you pick the lowest tier of joining the channel, though, which is 99p a month, right, you will be an asylum seeker in Veridora. But yeah, there we go. And with that, I think I'm going to sign off, because I've had a good time tonight. I've enjoyed it, and I hope you have too. And we'll speak again. We shall speak again. But in the meantime, be alert, be critical, don't take anything at face value, question everything, and do not lie to yourself. And after that, it's been great for you.
That's all we've got time for this evening, so it's good night from me. And it's good night from him. Good night. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Stop playing with my bust!
Good night, everybody.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy.
You're a what?
A pianist!
Mwah! Good night, everybody.
You have been a delightful audience still. Good night. Thank you.
Oh, my bottom hurts. Mwah! Good night, everybody.
Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Tim Bob.
Oh, I did love that hamster so. I took it into bed with me every night, you know.
Good night, everybody.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have to go now. I've been standing here for a very long time. I think the end of the show must have come and gone.
There you go. That's our solar system.
You forgot Uranus.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening. You've been very nice to work to.
Good night, Tim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.